He stayed where he had stopped longer than he expected. Days folded into one another quietly. People passed without noticing him or noticed and kept going anyway. The road no longer asked anything of him. The land had given permission to rest. When he moved again, it was slower but not uncertain. Slowness was not confusion. It was choice. He found shelter where ground rose just enough to stay dry after rain. He learned the patterns of the place quickly. Wind came from the west before storms. Animals crossed the clearing at dusk, never at dawn. Water traveled underground before revealing itself farther downslope. It was a good place to disappear. Memories came differently now, not in order, not politely. They arrived like weather, sometimes gentle, sometimes sharp. He remembered his mother's humming more clearly than her face. He remembered the way her voice flattened when she warned him not to ask questions. He remembered the first time he realized the land was more honest than people. He had guided many men since then, too many to count. Some had looked at him with suspicion, some with fear. A few with something close to respect, though they never let it settle long enough to become dangerous. Once, a young officer had asked him why he never wrote anything down. Isaiah had looked at the man for a long moment before answering. Because paper forgets, he had said. The officer laughed, assuming it was a joke. It was not. Paper burns, ink fades. Maps lie as soon as the land changes its mind. But memory, trained and tested, adapts. Memory survives. That was what they had never understood. As his body weakened, his awareness sharpened in strange ways. He no longer needed to see distant ridges clearly. He could feel their weight in the way the air pressed. He could sense rivers by the dampness carried on the wind. He could tell how far a place was by how tired it made him feel just thinking about it. People came to him less often now. New men believed in new tools, compasses improved, maps grew more detailed, confidence replaced caution. Confidence was loud, it failed just as easily. One afternoon a boy appeared at the edge of the clearing, too young to be afraid properly. Too curious to stay away. He watched Isaiah for hours without speaking. Finally he asked how to get back to town. Isaiah asked him which town. The boy pointed and said a name. Isaiah shook his head and asked where the sun had been when the boy left home. He asked which side of the road the river had been on. He asked what the trees smelled like near the edge of town. The boy answered slowly, thinking hard. Isaiah pointed. The boy hesitated, then followed the direction. He returned 2 days later with bread and questions. Isaiah accepted the bread. He did not answer the questions. Teaching directly made knowledge brittle. Letting someone discover made it strong. As seasons passed, Isaiah understood that his life had never been about movement alone. It had been about translation. He translated land into language others could use. He translated silence into direction. He translated survival into something men with power could briefly understand without ever truly learning. The irony did not escape him. They had denied him tools to keep him small. Instead, they had forced him to become vast. There were nights when pain kept him awake. Old injuries spoke louder when the body slowed. On those nights, he mapped places he had never been, mountains he had only heard described, rivers he had imagined from stories told badly by men who did not know how to observe. He was often right. It did not surprise him. Toward the end, a man arrived carrying a leather case. Inside was a compass, heavy and well-made. The man set it down between them like an offering. He said history had been wrong. He said men like Isaiah deserved recognition. He said the world was changing. Isaiah looked at the compass for a long time. Then he closed the case. Too late, he said softly. The man looked confused, not with anger, not with bitterness, just with certainty. The compass had never been the point. When the man left, Isaiah felt lighter, as if a question long ignored had finally been answered properly. He lay down one evening as the sky shifted toward colors he had always liked best. The land was quiet, not empty. Quiet in the way a listener becomes quiet when it finally understands. His breathing slowed. His thoughts widened. He felt no fear. He had spent his life knowing where he stood. That was enough.